We do have Gary Aboud, businessman and corporate secretary of Fishermen and Friends of the Sea. Gary Aboud. Pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Aboud.
Mikee, warmest good evening to you and to your audience, followers, and all the people who like truth and justice.
Thank you so much. I want to make reference to your letter. I want to dive right into it. This was sent to Mr. Lawrence C. Morse, chairman of the Board of Trustees of Howard University, Washington, D.C., in the United States of America. And it reads, "Dear Sir, it was recently reported that the President of the United States commended the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley, for being a 2023 recipient of an honorary degree from Howard University. On checking the webpage of the Office of the Secretary, Howard University, it states, the honorary degree is conferred on a selective basis and by recommendation of the Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees to distinguish individuals who merit special recognition for demonstrated improvement and distinction in a field or activity consistent with the mission of Howard University. It is the university's highest honor." Now, usually you have tried to stay clear, sometimes in the middle, trying to be there in the middle line to say, listen, let's give the system a chance. Let's see what the government next move is going to be. But this in itself, I mean, you are questioning an award. And give us why. What justification do you think that you needed to put pen to paper and question an honorary doctorate that was given to the Prime Minister of this nation?
Mikey, I can't say everything that I know unless I give the other side a fair chance to respond. I know a lot more than I've said in the letter. I'm attempting as best as possible, diplomatic and polite. But, I mean, I spoke to him yesterday and I don't want to...
You're breaking up a bit. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hear me better now?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Well, depending on whether we get a response at all, and depending on what is said in the response, and I really know what we can and cannot say, then I would make a proper and detailed statement. But I just feel aggrieved because Mikee, I mean, the whole basis of the award is a good thing. But if you reward improperly, or if you use a university's prestige and independence, I mean, universities in theory have always been the most independent institution. If they are not, and they can use that person's will, favors in return, then you're making a fraud and a mockery of I mean, the whole anthropology is, if you get a gift, the giver return, few people realize that there's a doctor who is soon to helping.
Gary, I don't know if you're moving. I don't know if you're moving, but you're coming in and out. So we need for you to just stay one place so we can hear you clearly, please.
Okay, I'm not moving, but I'm going right next to me. No?
No, you need to settle. No? All right, I can hear you a little bit. You were talking about Dr. Frederick. Go ahead.
But, I mean, we have literally hundreds of living citizens, people who were born here, who were raised here, who have accomplished and contributed so much to the world. But they were never given the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Is it just a coincidence that Dr. Frederick got the Order of the Republic? Last year it was. He got the highest national award. All of us in civil society said, well, wait now, who is this guy? What has he done? Now, I mean, with great respect to Dr. Frederick, I don't know what he did for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, okay, if you ask me, right?
Right.
A lot of people just want to criticize me, but I don't want to criticize anybody. I'm just asking. Pat Bishop. Pat Bishop got the Order of the Republic. What did she do for Trinidad and Tobago? Well, so many thousands of people were inspired by her, who learned from her words and her example and her teaching. But Bishop was my friend and such a hero to the world, just to us. She got the Order of the Republic.
Yeah, but Gary, let me interject here. You have to, understand that you're going to put yourself in the firing range, because here it is that you are writing, according to your letter, to request from the Board of Trustees of Howard University the relevant, specific, and itemized information pertaining to the demonstrated achievement and distinction in a field or activity, which of course it shows a mission of our university regarding Dr. Rowley as preferably recommended by the Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees. Now, many people would say, yes, you're looking for kinks in his armor, but are you simply saying that perhaps he's not worthy of it and that's why you're questioning it? Is that the justification? Because it's in the public domain now. I mean, if it was something that hadn't bothered you, I don't think you would have taken pen to paper. But you felt you were motivated and felt that you had to ask these questions because it's critical to clear the air, give us some clarity as to why Dr. Rowley.
They are all making a mockery of public service. We can't make a mockery. People who give their lives to fight an effort to do justice are just shunned in our country. And it's all part of the breakdown of Trinidad and Tobago. This lack of independence, I have to say, ass-licking, where people are afraid to speak out because they've been victimized. Mikey, we have a university. Universities all over the world have saved societies because of their independence. Their financial independence is the first thing, where they can stand on their own 2 feet, so they don't have to lick nobody's back. They don't have to pretend and lie and keep their opinions private. I was awarded a doctorate from the University of the West Indies for law. A few people know, and actually my father was alive then, and I was honored that he should have had a son who should have been granted such an honor. That was what was important to me. But the night before I was to be awarded, when I had already gone and bought a suit and washed my shirt and had been ready, and I told my dad, I was called by Professor Diosaran to say, sorry, the ministers say you cannot get it. No, I mean, I don't really want anything from them, Mikey, but it's not proper that public service and people who do things in the public interest and the whole constitution and the way it's structured locally should be made a laughing stock of the world and so disgrace our people and people who can, those people who swam through crocodile-infested waters last year or year before when they had this flood, nobody was recognized. Those people did what they did without any reward. And here in Trinidad, there's a mockery of how the awards are given. And the people who are really, Mikey, really, I mean, I don't want nothing from nobody. I'm good. I'm at the end of my years. I've lived a full life. But there are young people who are major contributors to our society, exemplars of our society, who are just not recognized because they're not connected. And this award, you see, people don't know. I'm asking you, do you know if Dr. Frederick is a distant relative of Dr. Rowley? Do you know?
No, I don't know at this time.
You don't know. It's something that somebody should know.
Yeah, hold on, Gary, but the main fact that you're bringing up such a question or an issue, it says quite a lot. It shows the discomfort, that the fact that, is it that you have no confidence in the process anymore?
Kim Johnson, you know, Dr. Kim Johnson, he got an honorary doctorate. Kim Johnson wrote a book about steel pan, that the whole world, they have more copies in circulation of that book in Asia than they have in the Caribbean. Kim Johnson researched and wrote about steel pan, and the whole world, musicians, historians, cultural enthusiasts and historians, the book has really put us in a place in the world that has contributed to the whole national prestige and awareness and pride of who we are, what we have done. Kim Johnson got the national award, and he earned it.
Okay.
But many people are given these awards because of political interference and mollycoddling and kiss-assing, and I am not that person.
And again, Gary, let me ask you, so you're saying that, have you lost confidence in this entire process?
Well, I have to see what Howard said. I mean, if it is that Dr. Rowley has earned it, if you listen to Dr. Frederick's statement about the whole, the citation that he gave while he was giving it, I'm going to send it to you.
Right.
I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, I read it.
He's not, there's nothing he said. If you look at Dr. Rowley while he's speaking, you realize Dr. Rowley is a bit uncomfortable, almost embarrassed, because, like, befuddled, when somebody, according to Lord Len, you don't have to remember Lord Nelson. He sang a calypso and he won the monarch with it. And it brings us back to the whole question of truth and lies. What Dr. Frederick said about Dr. Rowley, I cannot find any truth in it. It doesn't mimic or resemble Dr. Rowley. Who is Dr. Frederick talking about? Does he even read the news? Doesn't know about the Procurement Act and how it has been so completely decimated and destroyed? Doesn't he know the history of corruption? The fact that Dr. Rowley took a plane from China unannounced and went and bought $280 million of warships from a company that we already have 11 ships from them that don't work. They spent $283 million without any tendering procedure, secret. Why you had to fly to Australia to buy those ships? Why? Tell me why. Because there's no phone record. There's nobody tapping a phone that could listen to what is being said. I am telling you that it was a bad decision. We have so many ships on the company, they break down within 3 months. And when the cost of repair comes up, the ships are derelict. Go and look at the Coast Guard. Why? And then you come now and destroy the Procurement Act so you could fly into Australia and buy 2 more warships in a private room and shake hands. It's wrong. It's wrong.
And Gary, you're so correct. I mean, if you look at what's happening here, the way how it was described, as far as Dr. Rowley was described by Dr. Frederick, it doesn't mirror the reality that we see here as far as accountability and transparency. But let me ask you something. We live in a multicultural society. At least that's what we've been told. What do you say to folks who would say, listen, Gary, are you lashing out because this is a black leader, a black man? What do you say to people when they would mention something like that?
Hey, my father-in-law, Mikee, more black than you. Don't tell me about black and bring reason. That those people worshiping and they don't have God in their heart. Don't bring that race card to me. My wife is half Indian. Don't bring them things into me. I'm not in that line. All my best friends, all my are black people, black and Indian and Chinese and Syrian and mixed. I never distinguish. We are a special elite group of colorblind people. Don't bring that. That's diabolic. That's bringing a monster with a big tail out in my face. Don't bring that. Noel Wyatt is my Mikey, I'm not in that kind of talk. Those all people, right. I cannot respond to them.
I respect that. What do you believe as far as this sending a message to the young people of this country at this time when we as citizens are under siege and we're hearing about young people taking the wrong direction, and then we've had almost 2,000 or more than 2,000 of our students have fallen through the cracks since the pandemic. This whole situation, this whole issue, what message do you believe it sends to the young people of TNT?
Wrong message. When you see Kusal get a national award, but he has never done anything for the public. He's been paid for every road. When you see the chief medical officer who's doing a job, he gets paid to do a job. These are not the people to get the highest national awards. Public service is what we have to recognize. People who do things without profit, without remuneration. I mean, it's no wonder crime is escalating, because the real criminals are the ones who changed the Procurement Act. Those are the real criminals, and they are inside Parliament. They're not in the road struggling to make a living, beating and robbing one person. Those who are sitting in Parliament are beating hundreds of thousands, condemning them to a life of poverty by inflating and deflating. Inflating procurement when you're buying and deflating value when you're selling. You know how many years we have been talking about the idea that, I mean, when we started in FFOS, Trinidad and Tobago was getting a small percentage, less than 3% of the value of the extracted oil and gas. And I have made so much noise of this, inside and outside. Every independent senator, every parliamentarian knows our opinion that we have to get a fair value for the volume that they're taking. So Dr. Rowley gets into power. The price of oil and gas collapses. Everybody knows AV is his friend. As a friend, right? Everybody, the whole media talk about that. So he changed the legislation. He changed the regulations in the Minerals Act that all the extractors of oil and gas have to pay a standard fee of 12.5%. But the following year, he sends home all the checkers. There's a word for them. The 12 officers inside the Ministry of Energy have responsibility for verifying that the declared volume is correct. And for 5 years, the Auditor General complains, I have no way of verifying if this money that they're paying us in royalties is the correct value that we're supposed to be paid, because nobody is checking. It's like somebody tell you, you know, I'm not saying that BP and BG and the big boys are dishonest, because they have technical competence and calibration of what is moving and what is transporting. But,
right.
But what about the small companies like AV? Who is checking them? Who is verifying that what they claim to have taken out is what they in fact take out? And then after 5 years, the Auditor General is removed. Early retirement, just like the woman who did the studies for us from UTT to show that the fish in the Gulf of Paria are dangerously contaminated, and we have to be careful the frequency by which we eat the bottom dwellers, the things that live on the bottom, the migratories like the carriage and king. They don't live here, but the ones that live and eat at the bottom are contaminated. She got early retirement. An internationally accredited statistician, Dr. Stout, came on early retirement. $27 million of laboratory equipment dismantled and split up in every different department, from a state-of-the-art laboratory to nothing.
And there are many issues, Gary. Hold on. There's many issues. I mean, you look at the Heritage Pipeline, which sprung a leak in Faizabad. You have the acting Prime Minister and also acting Energy Minister, Carl Mimbert, saying, listen, people are building on the pipeline. They'll have to take blame for that. Heritage needs to be a little more, observant and to ensure that people don't do these things. And I mean, the list goes on and on. But bringing it back here to the issue as far as what has raised your concern. Now, Mr. Lawrence Morse would have received your correspondence. Well, at least we hope so by now. Now, if the reply comes back where you can't find the justification as to why this award was given out, do you think it's your responsibility to say, listen, perhaps it needs to be given back?
I hadn't thought about that, Mikey, but I'm taking that idea on board. I think we should all say that it was improperly awarded and the university is making a mockery of the award system. And we need to send it to the New York Times and the Washington Post and every North American media, so everybody knows how we in a little country feel about a university manhandling and misusing an honorary doctorate award system. I mean, Mikey, you should get a national award, because you just do stuff. You don't lose faith, you don't lose hope, you just keep on bringing it out. And you don't benefit by the risk you take to bring the truth to the public. You get a salary that, in my respectful view, is not nearly what you should get for the risk and the diligence and the effort and the fact that you live and you take on these issues. But they wouldn't give you. They wouldn't give you because they will say all sorts of things. Whether what you say is the truth or not the truth, the perseverance of truth without private benefit, you have nothing to gain. I have nothing to gain. And so many young people are demoralized by what is... It's no wonder that crime is spiraling out of control because there's an example of criminality. This girl called Benazir Bhutto.
Yeah.
Benazir was the elected prime minister of Pakistan that was ousted and hunted and eventually murdered, assassinated. But when she spoke in Washington, she spoke to the leaders, including George Bush Jr., who was present in the audience. And she made it clear that when leaders misuse their authority or turn a blind eye to lawlessness or to the breaking of laws, every single law in every corner of the country is weakened. That is Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
A prime minister that sits and presides over... I'm not a supporter of anybody. I am supporting truth. But I have said it so many times. Kamala gave us the Procurement Act. She commissioned Afro Raymond to consult with and work with so many people, salary-led, to come up with a profile of what this act should be. And when he took it to her 3 months before the election, 3 weeks after that, she laid it in Parliament. The PNM walked out. Why would walk out? They didn't vote. It was passed with a simple majority. It needed regulations. Ronnie got into power. In the first election, he promised on the platform that he was going to pass the procurement regulations and empower the act. And then you get into power and you remove all of the teeth from the act. So you have a no-teeth act. I mean,
Yeah.
the procurement act cannot eat chicken and steak because there's no teeth.
But I will get back to you on that sometime in the near future. Closing comments, because our time is up here. And I just want to clarify something, and I'm sure that you would agree with me. This is not about any sort of personal attacks. This is basically you making your assessment based on the non-performance or lackluster performance or however you want to grade it. And you basically believe that it doesn't warrant an award or the accolades that are being praised on the Prime Minister. And I don't believe this is a personal thing that you have against the Prime Minister, but I think you believe that it simply just does not add up. Am I correct?
Well, there are thousands of people who, based on what Dr. Frederick has said, should be granted the award. Mia Motley has put the Caribbean onto the global map with her pleas about the climate. He calls it climate crisis. I call it climate emergency. All of the Caribbean are full of people who have risen in the ranks from poor backgrounds, become educated, and to rise into half the world's presidents and prime ministers, half the world's cabinet should all be granted this award then. So what makes this prime minister special?
Yeah.
Other than he awarded Dr. Frederick the highest national award, the Order of Republic. That can't be.
Yeah. Gary, I want to thank you so much. We've got to put a pin in that. We want to thank you so much again for weighing in on this, and we will be speaking to you in the near future. Thank you so much.